Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for coming to today's session where we're going to be focusing on an automation tool we have within our family of solutions called Naviate Accelerate. Today's agenda, what we will be covering we'll be giving an introduction to symmetry, an introduction to the Naviate portfolio. What we'll do then, we will dive into a live demo of the interface, and then we will be going through some Q&As that have been presented throughout the course of the demo, and we will also give access to a link where if anyone is interested, can go on a 30-day free trial of the platform. We also have a suite not only of Naviate, we have a suite of solutions called Cevilia and CQ, which are dedicated by our ex-industry experienced staff. So to those who aren't familiar with what Naviate is, it's a solution that accelerates project documentation, it optimizes workflows and BIM processes, and it's a pre-configured solution all developed by our own Symmetry own tech. It also enhances BIM processes so that you can concentrate on your design rather than doing repetitive mundane tasks. It is a solution that is part of the Revit suite, and that along with other solutions can streamline your workflows. If you see here, you have Naviate for structure, Naviate for architecture, electrical, even site and landscape use. So today we're focusing on one of these offerings, which is Naviate Accelerate. It also, along with Naviate and what I mentioned earlier, is the CQ FlexBond. So CQ FlexBond is a solution that tracks usage of Autodesk and other third-party products. We also have ISO. We have our own dedicated BIM consultant department. So if anyone is interested in any upskilling or awareness of ISO 19650 or other ISO standards, we have the capabilities in-house to assist with that. We also have a learning platform. We're a Bluebeam Gold reseller. We also sell other solutions like Adobe, Celebri, and another offering is One-Click LCA, which is pretty prominent within the industry at the minute. What I'm going to do here is pass on to Deborah, who's going to be our consultant here, who's going to showcase and present the features of Naviate Accelerate. She's one of our key users.
Thanks, Sean. Just to introduce myself, my name is Deborah Moynihan, and I'm a customer development consultant here with Symmetry. I've over 15 years experience previously in the architectural industry as both an architectural technologist and a BIM manager. And I have expert knowledge in all of the AEC and ACC software offerings, and also Symmetry's own exclusive technology. So today I'm going to take everybody through a quick demo of Naviate Accelerate and kind of focus on some of the features that I really like. So if I could take over the screen. So we're going to jump in. So Naviate Accelerate will appear on the top of your Revit as a tab, and in total it has somewhere between 60 to 70 different features, and we're not going to go through all of those today, but I'm going to touch on the main ones, kind of moving from left to right across the tool. So the first one that I'm going to start with is your family browser. So there's a tab here. The first category sort of works on families. So family browser will open up this dialog box, and it has two separate tabs. So your folders tab will allow you to bookmark all of your folders that you use for families. So in my case, I have my Autodesk family saved here. In your case, this might be your office standards, so you can have all of your custom content bookmarked here. As I scroll down through the list, I see all the categories on my folders, and I can click into any folder and I instantly get a thumbnail view of all of the families that are in that folder. I can scroll down, I can see what I'm looking for on the list, and I can select one of these. And what I can do from here when I right click on it is I can edit that family straight from here. I can load it straight into my project, and View will simply just change the thumbnail size. What it also gives me an overview of is all of the types that's in that family as well. So I can, before I even load this into my model, I can see what types are in that family, and I can also see what parameters are in the family and what values is contained in that, all before I even load this into my model. The other tab then, Loaded Families, is going to give me an overview of what is already in my project. So I get a full overview, and again, I can scroll down to all of my categories. These are all of my families, and then these are all of the types that already exist in my project. And again, it's going to give me all of the data, all of my parameters that are already being used on that particular family in the project. So this gives me a great overview of what's in my project before I even kind of jump in and start to see what else I need. Another quick tool under families, just as a little bonus, is Align to Path. So a lot of times when you're designing something, you might be extruding a family along a path, and you have to kind of copy and paste that family one by one and set the increment each time. Align to Path allows you to speed up this process by simply having your symbol, having a path drawn. I have this path drawn in advance, and then being able to either set a distance between those symbols or set a default number. So I can set a distance on this of 1.5 meters. And I also want to keep the rotation of the symbol as well. All I can simply have to do then is select my tree. Naviate's going to prompt me, do I have multiple elements? I don't, I just have the one. I can select my path, and quite simply my design has now been completed, and I've saved a lot of time there where I don't have to copy and paste things manually and set my distance automatically. So that's a couple of the tools that are inside your kind of families area. The next area that you have then, which is really useful, is your find and select tools. So there are 3 tools here. The first one is filter elements. And what filter elements will allow you to do is basically create search sets. So over here on the left, I have all of the categories that are currently in this view. So you can set this to find the elements that are in this view, or you can potentially set it to be all elements that are in your model. I'm going to work on the elements in this view for now. And what I want to do is I want to create a search set and a search rule that I can find all my walls in my project that have a certain fire rating on them. So I'm going to select my walls. It's telling me I have 77 in this particular view. And I'm going to move across here now to my properties. So I can see all my type properties, I can see all my instance properties, and I can switch between those. I can find fire rating on the list, and I can bring this across, and this will form part of my filtering rule. So I want to find anything that has a 60-minute fire rating in it. So I want fire rating to equal 60 minutes. And what I can do here now before I hit select elements is I can save this search selection, so I can use it again in the future, and I can potentially use it as well across other projects. So that is going to prompt me to save it. So I can go walls 60 minutes, and that will save that search set for me, and I can use that again in the future. So if I go select elements now, it's going to highlight all of the walls in my model that have a 60-minute fire rating on them. And again, I can use Revit now to save this selection as a search set, and I can use that again and again throughout the project as it progresses. So the main difference between, you have filter elements and you also have live selection. So the main difference between the two of these is filter elements, as I just showed, will allow you to create a rule and find the objects that are in that view or in the model at any one time. Live selection then is very similar, but it works live, and it's constantly refreshing based on the view that you're in at any one time. So as you can see here, again, all of my categories, but I also have a button on the top that is called auto refresh. So I have that turned on. So as I scroll down through the list again, I can see that I have 77 walls. I can select everything in the view, and as soon as I click into the view, live selection will grey out, and I can work away and I can pan around that view. As soon as I click back into live selection, then I can use the tool again. If I swap into my 3D view here, where I have everything turned on, and I jump back to live selection, auto refresh has kicked in, and I now can see that I have 222 walls, 221 walls all selected. What I like live selection for is actually just try to find certain families as I'm working through a model, as I'm working through the design, or as I'm trying to clean up my model. So for example, I know I have some curtain wall windows in here, but rather than trying to pan around the model and look for them and find where they might be, I can use live selection to scroll down through the list. I can go to my windows, and I can see I have my two types of window, and I know the one that I'm looking for is my curtain wall window, and they're automatically highlighted in the view, and I can jump in here and I can see there's my three windows there. I have two there and I have one up there. So live selection has saved me that time in kind of searching through my model, looking for the family. I can simply just pick it from a list and it's going to highlight automatically. So that's a really useful tool. It's saved me a lot of time. The last tool in Find and Select that I find really good from a model management perspective is unhide elements. So everyone's been in a situation where you are working in a model and people hide elements in view. You know, it's generally taken as a last resort. So when you go hide in view, and everybody tends to click on hide elements. We've all done it, but then you move on, you forget you've hidden that object, and then you kind of have to start trying to reveal hidden elements and find where it is. Unhide elements gives you the ability to come into a view and just instantly reset. So it will turn on everything where elements have been hidden in view previously in that view. As you can see, I had some CAD files that were hidden in this view. They've turned back on. That tree that I hid has simply come back on. So it's a great reset tool for coming into a view and just finding everything that might have been hidden intentionally or otherwise in your view. So they're your Find and Select tools. Again, they really enhance the ability to just find stuff in models and sort through all your data. Moving on then, I'm going to demonstrate some tools underneath our data area here. So Color Elements is the first one that's here, and what Color Elements allows you to do is speed up your process of where you would traditionally create filters, add them to your view, add them to your view template. When you create filters, you have to create each filter one by one with its own specific rule, add them into your visibility graphics, set the colors manually. So what this does is speeds up that process. So I've opened up Color Elements here, and what I want to look at is creating a drawing for my fire rated walls. So again, I have all of my categories along here on the left hand side, and I'm going to scroll down to walls. And as you can see, I have my instance parameters and I have my type parameters again. As Naviate is selecting through different parameters, you can see that the colors are applying automatically in the background, so it is that quick. If I go down to fire rating, again, it's going to auto refresh almost instantly, and I can see it's pulling basically all of the fire ratings that have been filled into the walls in this project to date. So again, you can choose which ones you want to include. I don't want to include ones that don't have a fire rated value on them. And again, I can change the colors to suit myself as well. I want my 60-minute walls to be red. I want my 90-minute walls to be blue. And again, they're updating in real time. And if I zoom in here, I also want to include my line work as part of my filters as well. So I want that to be a solid wall. So I can go to the next settings where I can also override my projection and cut lines, and that will make that solid on the screen for me. So another tip with this is it's also a really great tool for not just producing drawings, but also checking stuff in models. I used to use it for checking information in models all the time to make sure that the right types were used in place. And you can keep these colors. If I was to close this box right now, the colors would reset. However, I want to add these filters to my view. So I'm going to press add view filters. So this is going to retain the settings once I exit from here. It has prompted a warning on the other screen. So it's also going to prompt me, because I turned off one at the top, do I want to also include this in my view? I do, because I might want to use it later on. And I can also have the option to add these filters straight into my view template. So it's going to prompt me, which view template do I want to add these in? So I've created a view template for my fire drawings, and I'm going to add it into those. So if I close this view now, it's going to retain the settings, so all my walls retain their colors. And when I open up visibility graphics and go into filters, Naviate has created all the filters for me. So it will put an NV in front of anything that Naviate creates, so you can distinguish between your own and the Naviate ones. And you can also see here all my line work is colored in, all my surface patterns, all my cut patterns. So Naviate has taken care of all of that for me. And whereas traditionally I would have to go into edit new and create each filter one at a time. So color elements will work across all view types. It will work across floor plans, sections. It will even work across 3D views as well. And what's coming down the line as well with Naviate is the ability to also add in your color scheme legend. So for example, if you were doing a color scheme for your rooms, if I was to select department, again, you can see this, it's auto refreshing in real time. I can put together a color scheme for my floor plans really quickly, and what's coming down the line as well is going to be the colorful legend will be added here too. So you can literally manage everything from the one place. So again, if I was to add these view filters to my view, that's been added automatically. I have a color scheme on now, and I can jump into filters, and you can see they've just all been added onto the list. So it's this really, really fast way to create your filters for your drawings, and this will work for all your model categories, all your Revit elements. If you have a parameter in there and it's filled in, then you're going to be able to apply a color straight onto it. The next tool that I'm going to look at under our sort of data area is your ability to view and edit values on all of your parameters. So as I jump in here and I open up this next dialog box, it's going to ask me, do I want to select a category or do I want to select a schedule? Again, I can select a category, so I can pick doors again. Doors always have a lot of parameters involved in them. And I can choose to pick instance parameters or type parameters. And you can also use these toggles here underneath to make sure that you include any of your own custom shared parameters in that list as well. I want to look at the comments field, and I want to look at some of my finishes to see what's been filled in. And that's going to just automatically open up for me. If I realize I've forgotten to add a parameter, I can simply go back and add it from the list. And I can also have the option to take this view now and save it off as a Revit schedule in my project, so it's there permanently. But as you can see here, I get a good overview of everything, and I see that somebody has started to fill in the finish of my doors, but they haven't completed it. So what this allows you to do, rather than copy and paste between each row, which you would do in a Revit schedule, is I use this green plus symbol at the end of the row, and I can drag that and I can drag that down, and that will give me the option to fill copy, which will copy and paste all that information. Or if this was a number sequence, fill increments. So if I was doing my sheet numbers, which I'll demonstrate shortly, it will increase everything in sequence for me as well. So I can simply go fill copy, and that will start to auto-complete that row. If I realize I have made a spelling mistake, or maybe steel has to change to timber, I can select all of these, I can right click, and I can do a search and replace. So I can search everything for steel and simply type in timber, and all of my information will update. As soon as I click update values, you can see how quickly that is processing the information, and it's going to prompt me and tell me that I have 26 parameters which were successfully updated. And this again will work for any of your Revit categories, any of your parameters. You can also pick a schedule view. This includes your sheet list and your view list. So if you're looking at cleaning up the naming in your project browser of all of your views, you can absolutely use edit parameters to do that. And again, I have my type, I have my view name, I have title on sheet. It's really easy to change the sorting as well of your columns. In the Revit schedule, you'd have to go into the settings and change the sorting and grouping each time, but whereas with this, I just can hit the header on the column and it will sort for me. So again, anything that's in grey is read-only, so that would be information you can't change, but anything in white, you can work away and you could tidy up your project browser from this view alone. Another request that I often get is how to combine information. So another tool that we have under data is combine parameters. For example, here I have my sheet list. I have my ISO 19650 naming set up in this project, and I've done it in such a way that I have a separate parameter for each field. However, on a drawn register, you know, you don't want it all in separate cells. You want like one combined sheet number. So what I have figured out in Naviate is I can take all of these parameters and combine them into one sheet number automatically. And I can save that script then as well to keep basically running it throughout the duration of the project every time I add new sheets or if any naming changed. So I'm going to jump into this tool called Combine. And again, it's going to give me my standard interface of my categories and my parameters. So I want to look at sheets. And here are all my parameters in the list. So I know which ones I want to combine. I want to combine all of my ISO 19650 parameters into one, what Naviate refers to as a destination parameter. So I'm going to combine all of these. That's my zone, my level, type code, my row code, and finally my sheet number. If you want to add on anything else onto that, you can. And I want to make sure that I have my dash between each one of my fields as well. So that's going to be my settings. And then I want to pick my destination parameter. So my destination parameter is combined sheet number. That's the one I made earlier, and that's the one here. And again, to save me time in the future, I can save this off as a preset so that each time I want to come in, I simply just have to select my preset from the list and combine values. So as soon as I hit this now, it's going to let me know that 11 elements have been updated. And if I close this box now, that's instantly gone in and all of my sheet numbers have been combined. So I can use that on my cover page or my drawn register at the start of my pack of drawings, and it's just one neat field. So that's some of the tools that we have in underneath data that I find really, really useful in order to speed up some time. I'm going to move on now into sheets and views because I'm going to automate the process of basically setting up my sheets, setting up my views, doing my revisions and sending them all to print, all using Naviate. Before I do that, there is two quick tools that I want to show you today. One is section from element. So we've all often worked on projects where we have walls that are at a custom angle, and sometimes when you draw your section line, you don't get it quite parallel to the angled wall. This quick section from element here will allow you to simply click on your angled wall, click to the side of the wall that you want to place your section line on, and your section line will automatically appear and it's 100% parallel to your object. So that's a really handy tool to be aware of. Then we also have our other quick views tool, which is adjust section box. So we all know when you're manually trying to drag your section box, it can take a bit of time to get to the right level that you want it at. Adjust section box will allow you to, you can go by floor level. If you have scope boxes already put in your model, you can simply crop your model down, your 3D view down by your scope box. And you can see how quick that is changing on my screen in the background. It's literally as I click on it. So maybe I want to look at scope box for part A of my building, and I want to look at the ground floor level specifically. So I'm going to select my base level as ground floor and my top level as 2.5 meters because I want to go just below the ceilings, and it's cropping as quick as I'm putting that information into it. So it's much quicker than the traditional method of dragging my section box up and down till I think I'm basically in the right area that I want to, crop my section box under. So they're two really quick views to just speed up simple things like making section lines, just dragging your section box down so you can see an area really quickly. So it just makes it really, really fast. So I'm going to go into the first of our sort of extra toolbars in Naviate Accelerate, which is where I can manage and create my sheets and my views. So I'm going to do a quick run through now where I am going to create my dependent views and I'm going to get them put onto sheets ready to be issued. So what I've set up in advance is I have my overall ground floor plan and I have my 4 scope boxes put into place that I want to make my dependent views from. So starting here at the left, I can create my views and I'm going to select the levels that I want to make my floor plans from. So I just want my ground, first and second floor today. I'm not going to do the roof or the parapet. And then I'm going to move on to the left-hand side where I'm going to select the types of plans I want to create. So I want to create floor plans. I can also do ceiling plans, structural or area plans, and I can also add additional rows for my floor plan. So if I'm doing all of my floor finishes, wall finishes, partition drawings, structural setting out drawings, whatever the case is, I can have a row for each one and I can assign my view template then as well. I got to make sure that I tick the box for dependent views and then I'm going to select the scope boxes then that I want to make my floor plans from. It's that as simple as that, and from that then I'm just going to hit create views and that is going to generate out all those views for me with the view template in place. So if we give that a second, you can see there I have successfully created 15 views. If I was to do that manually, I'd have to right click each time, make dependent, make dependent, make dependent. You can see here as I scroll down to my sheet views area, my dependent views have been created. I can expand those out so we can see them all. And also Naviate has cropped each one to the same size each time. And I can go in and I can check all of my information is correct. So there we have part A, part B, part C, and part D. So I've already saved a lot of time there. I have my dependent views made. So now I want to get my views onto a sheet. So I'm going to move across here now and I'm going to create sheets. So what Naviate will want you to do is have one sheet set up in advance, which is your template sheet. So I have a ground floor kind of overall view already set up. And what I've included on that view is my North Point symbol, and I've also included a schedule. So I want to demonstrate that from your template view, you can also copy symbols, schedules, and legends onto all of the new views that you are going to create. So that's going to be my template for today. We can see that it's highlighted in yellow down here on the list. And then I'm going to move on to the next box here now where I am going to select the views that I want to put onto sheets. So the ones I just made, like you can see there is my part plans. I'm going to select these. And you can see the list here now is populating. So again, my placement, I can choose where on the sheet I want to place them. Today I'm just going to go with center to center. And I want to make sure that I include any legends, schedules, or symbols from my template view because I'm copying my floor plans. So now you're into editing your parameters. So I'm setting my sheet name, my sheet number, and any other information that I want to include on my title box. So title on sheet, I'm going to type in ground part A. and we're going to use our tools of copying and finding and replacing now to get this information filled in record time. If you were doing this manually in Revit, you would be flicking through each sheet individually. I can use my search and replace now to replace ground with first. Again, I can copy, paste, do search and replace. I can replace first with second, and I can now take my title on sheet, copy and paste that into my sheet name. So now all my title on sheet, my sheet names are done. I am going to set my sheet numbers as well. I want my series to start at, let's say, 1110. This is smart. It will prompt you if there are any duplicate numbers in there. So I can clear that warning before I go to my next step, which is now using fill increment. So I've used fill increment. These have all increased in value up by 1. I have no duplicates. So all my sheets are numbered, all my sheets are named. I don't need to change any of my other columns, but again, I can at this point if I want to. And the only other thing I want to change is my level code to make sure that I'm complying with my drawing standards. So again, I can do search and replace, search and replace. And just like that, now I have all of my sheets named and numbered, and I don't need to change any of my other data here, and I can create my title sheets. So this is now going to start to process, and it's going to create 12 title blocks with all of my title block information filled in. It's going to copy all my north points, it's going to copy any schedules, it's going to copy any legends.
This will take a considerable amount of time too as well, Deb, for people just creating drawings as part of their day-to-day workflows.
Exactly. If you're doing this with just out-of-the-box Revit, you're creating each sheet one by one, you're creating your views one by one, and you're having to drag and drop each view onto the sheet. And also with this as well, you can cross-check the alignment of all of your views as well, so that you're going to know that your view is in the same place on every title sheet each time.
That benefits if you move into another interface where they're like comparing levels. You know that their center point is the center of the building, so exactly. That your overlays for comparing or checking walls beneath.
There we go. It's because I'm sharing. So when I start to share my screen at the same time, it just takes a little bit longer. You can see there now it's created my 12 sheets successfully. No warnings involved, and if I wanted to go and create another batch of sheets with another template at this point, I could do that. However, I'm going to show you, you can see all of the boxes have gone blue there now. I'm using Revit 2024, so I can see that all these views are now on sheets. And there are all of my part plans. So just to show you there, this was the template sheet that I had set up initially with just a random schedule and my north point on it to demonstrate that, again, I can copy these onto my new sheets that I'm creating. So there's my ground floor part plan A, there's the schedule, there's the north point, and if I zoom in here, my title block is all filled in and all my information is done. If I come back now into Accelerate, into my Manage Sheets and Views box, the next thing that I want to do is I want to get my revisions on these sheets before I issue them out. So again, traditionally, if you're doing this in Revit, you're creating your revision globally, and then you're going through each sheet one by one and selecting the revision from the list. What Naviate will allow me to do is to speed this up and do all of my sheets in one go. So when I go to Revision Manager, I can jump in here. It's going to filter, it's going to find all of the sheets that I have in my project at the moment, and if I expand this out, I can see here's all of my plans. So these are the drawings that I want to get issued out today. So I'm going to select these ones from the list. Again, if you have a really large project, you can use filter, you can use the search here to find what you're looking for in the list. It's also, I have my project browser set up to organize it in different sections, so I recommend doing that to help you find drawings. And then I can go and I can edit revisions, and I can select this tool here. So this is going to open up a box that's very similar to the Revit kind of global revision manager, where you create your revisions, and then I can simply just select something from the sequence here, press OK, and that is processing those revisions almost instantaneously. And if I zoom in here now into my revision box, I can see that that generic revision I just created has been dropped onto the sheet. If I jump into another sheet down here, if I go onto the second floor, again, the same thing, my revision has been put onto my sheet, and I've saved a huge amount of time there where I haven't had to flick between different sheets. Another quick one there before I move on is you can see I have no dimensions between my grid lines. Naviate Accelerate has brought in a button here now for dimension grids, which will just automatically drop those dimensions onto my grid lines in the view that I'm in, and just again save me another bit of time where I don't have to start doing a dimension string between my grids going in both directions. So yeah, that's a great tool. There's lots more tools in here. Like I said, there's somewhere between 60 to 70 tools in Naviate Accelerate. But you know, there are settings, there are tools for tagging, and there are tools for creating empty sheets. If you have your drawn register set up and you just want to create all of your sheets, you can place your views on them. Then later on, once you, let's say you're creating lots of 1:10 facade details, you can get all your sheets created. And as you're making your views, then you can bang them onto your sheets. You can edit sheet parameters as well, so it can send you back in. If any numbering changed or any naming changed, you can go back in and use the sheet parameters then as well, to basically speed up your life and not have to do things sort of one by one. So there's lots of really great tools underneath this extra toolbar for manage sheets and views. So now that I basically have all of my sheets created, the next thing that I want to do is I want to print them. And printing is something that takes all of us time. What Accelerate has allowed us to do and what it has set up in the background is you can reconfigure, you can basically configure all your settings in advance. So I've set one up here earlier to basically have my ISO 19650 PDF export set ready to go. I can add DWG exports, I can add IFC, I can add NWC. So once I go into check these settings, which I've configured earlier, I have my printer pre-selected, so I have my blue-green printer. I have my settings done for my page size, so these are like pulling from it's gone to my other screen. So these would be, you know, like your traditional Revit print settings where you set your page size, you set your placement, you set your margins and everything like that. So all that is saved in. And then I can select my sheet set. And again, I can edit my sheet set from here as well because I've just created, I have just created all of my new sheets. So I want to make sure that they're also in my sheet set. Sorry, it's got to my other screen. Apologies. Stuck on my other screen. There we go. I'm stuck on GoToWebinar. And so I can again make sure that all of my sheets are included in here. I can save that. And again, the most important thing is I can set my naming in advance as well. So very similar to what I did earlier when I combined all my parameters into one field. I can take all of my parameters that I want in my PDF files, in my DWG files, whatever the case is, and I can use that naming then as well in my files. So I don't have to rename any PDFs once they come out of here. I don't have to rename any DWGs. It's all preset up for me in my Naviate settings. Again, I could hit print now from here and that would start to generate out all of my sheets. Again, if I go into my DWG settings, it's the same thing. I can configure these and I can, again, pick all of my sheets that I want to do, or maybe I just want to do ones that are in session. That's up to you. And again, I can control my naming as well. I can preset my naming so that everything's going to come out with the right naming on it and I don't have to do any further work then in terms of renaming files. And again, if this is, you can add NWC, you can add IFC. If they're all ticked and you hit publish, all of your configurations are just going to run and you don't need to do basically any more. Close that. You know, when you're asked to do all of your printing, you're also often asked to share your model as well. And that normally involves saving your model, downloading it, making a detached copy and cleaning out your model. We've all had to clean out models where we've had to delete all of our views and all of our sheets before we send it to a third party for other uses. So again, there's another additional toolbar here with Naviate Accelerate under Manage Project. So under here, we have a few different tools that helps you manage your BIM models. Project cleanup is one of those. It will prompt you to save your project at first before you go there. And I can go into project cleanup. So what project cleanup is going to allow me to do is I don't even have to close the model that I'm in. I just need to make sure I've saved it, and I can save this as a detached copy. So I can keep my work sets or I can discard my work sets. They're the standard settings if I was to open this model as detached. And it's going to prompt me for an output folder where I want to save it. And then it's also going to give me a warning, you know, that, you know, your file name is the same. So you might want to change that just to be on the safe side. Again, I can save this off and I can just save that in a location. I'm going to call it demo. And then I have my options then, so I can start to say, yes, I want to delete the model views except ones that are checked. So every view and every sheet has a special parameter in here that you can basically tick a box saying, do not purge this view. That means that once you run Project Cleanup, any views that you have ticked will be kept in the model. Again, I can delete sheets, revisions, schedules. I can remove all my Revit links, remove my CAD links, clean out CAD imports. And delete anything else like unused scope boxes, unused view filters, delete images. I can also purge the model as well. And finally, as you can see, cleanup is grayed out, so I can't hit this button. I can't hit this button by mistake until I'm ready. There's a final acknowledgement and a final warning of, yes, I want to clean up the project, and then you can hit Project Cleanup. That will run then. It's going to detach the model here and it's going to basically clean up whatever I have chosen to do. So I don't have to manually purge this model. I don't have to manually delete all the views and scroll to my project browser. Naviate is going to do all of that for me. Just to quickly show you where the parameter is then, as I scroll down through the parameters for this, it's here. So Naviate do not purge. And again, you can program that into a view template as well so that a whole set of views potentially will not be purged from your model when you run Project Cleanup. So that's the parameter that you're looking for in your view properties, Naviate do not purge. Another tool that I find really useful in underneath this manage toolbar is your CAD Tracker tool. It's going to allow you to find and review all of the CADs that are linked or imported into your Revit models. So I've often come across situations where a CAD has been imported into a Revit model and it's been hidden in the view. Somebody's brought it in to trace over it and they've hidden it then and forgotten about it, and the view gets duplicated, and so the import gets duplicated, and that spirals through the model, and your models can get bloated over time then if you have too many imports in there. And once they're hidden, then they're really difficult to try and trace back and basically find them all. CAD Tracker is going to give you a full list of all the CADs that's in your model, and I can see as well what type they are. So I can see if they're a link, I can see if they're imported, and I can also find what views they're originating from. But what I can also do straight from this view is delete them. So even if they're hidden and I can't find the originating file or in my project browser because it simply just got too big, I can hit delete from the list here, and that will delete the CADs from the model and basically get rid of that out of your views. It's a really good tool if your model is struggling, if your model is bloated just because there's too much in it, to be able to go in, review all of your CADs and basically just clean up your model. There are other tools in here for things like cross-checking shared coordinates. You can save out families, you can add images. It's a very useful toolbar for BIM management in general. And finally, the last tool that I'm going to show really quickly is provision for voids. So this is another kind of not secret toolbar, but a hidden one at the end underneath the collaboration section. And what provision for voids allows you to do is create generic models which represent your builder's work scopes. So this could be used by any discipline. So MEP could use this to create their provisions, and these provisions can actually be synced across linked models as well. So it could go to the architect, it could go to the structural engineer. If they also have Naviate Accelerate, you can synchronize these provisions across two models. Just because we are running a little short on time, I'm just going to demonstrate this in my MEP model over here. I have an MEP model open, and I'm going to go to provisions for void. So I can see here I have my ducts, they're all live, and my architectural model is linked in the background. What you want to run is, firstly, you're going to set which model your provisions are in. So that's my current model. I have my MEP model open, and my target model then is my architectural model. I have the options then to pick whether my targets are structural or architectural. I'm going to leave both ticked for this. And then you have group modes as well. So selection mode would be you would click each of your ducts or your cable trays, whichever services you're doing, or you have parameter mode. What parameter mode allows you to do is if you have a collection of small services together, small pipes, for example, or small cable trays, and you don't want to create an OAP for each one of those, you can use the group ID to basically group those smaller services into one. So Naviate will recognize that's a group, and it's only going to create one opening for those small objects. Then you're going to select your building targets, which in this case, I want to do my walls, and then you're going to select your provision targets. In this case, it's my ducts. So I'm going to oversize these as well so that I'm adding 25 mil onto the size of each one of these. And then I want to make sure I'm in intersecting mode, so it's wherever my duct is intersecting my wall, and I want to hit create. So this is just doing ducts and walls. Again, you could choose to do all building targets. I could choose to do cable trays. I can do doors and windows, and that's basically going to create all of these intersections.
This is where it feeds into your collaboration process.
Exactly.
And you're meeting the collaboration requirements on projects.
If I zoom in here now, you can see this has created a generic model. If I just isolate these temporarily, you can see what they look like. It's a simple generic model. It has all its parameters in there. You can see the size of each one of them, and you can see the oversize as well. So again, if you needed to change the oversize for specific ones, you can do that. And all of them are also pinned in place as well, which is great because it means that they can't move. I can synchronize these voids between these provisions between my two models. So I can synchronize my M&E model. Again, I might be doing my builder's work scopes in a separate linked model just to keep things tidy. And I can jump back into my architectural model, and I can reload the M&E link. You can see there now that my voids have come through, and my mouse just froze there. I don't think you can see there's my voids in my M&E model. I can use provisions for voids now to synchronize these across. So as I press synchronize and open up this dialog box, I have my M&E model on the left, my architectural model on the right, and I can select these. I can select the provisions, and I can bring these across. Equally, Naviate will tell you what is new, what's the same in both models, so that if the M&E model updates and I bring these into my structural, my architectural model, it's going to prompt me and let me know which ones are new or which ones have changed. So they're coming across now. And basically what you can do once they're in your model live is, you can see there, these ones have gone green, so it tells me they're equal in both. I can select any one of these. I'm going to turn off my M&E model now just for visibility to show you the final step in the process. Sorry, let's switch back models. To turn off my M&E model. So now I can see that my voids, my provisions have been basically copied across into my architectural model, and I can use provisions for voids now to review each one of these. You can also create schedules from this as well, so you can schedule out all of your provisions. But the main thing is you have your provision status, so you can accept it. When you accept it, it will cut the opening in your wall for you. So if I press accept, you can see that has changed there now, and that's been accepted. That has cut the opening in my wall for me. This might be a structural wall, it could be a structural slab. Again, if I can also reject this, I can say it's incorrect. If this syncs back then to the originating model, they basically can review then which ones have been accepted, which ones need more work because they've been rejected. And I can also put a hold on them as well. And then again, the last one then is you can turn them off. You can use show provisions to basically turn them on and off in your view as you're working. So it's a really, really powerful add-on there just at the end of the toolbar to be able to do builders workshops, and it's a tool that will, you know, work for any of the disciplines. And that is all of the main features that I really like in Naviate Accelerate. There are loads more, but I think we're almost out of time for today.
Yeah, well, that's perfect. Thanks very much, Deb. There's a few questions, and I just want to kind of, just before we go on to questions, just kind of showcase and we go through the business values that we see, and because we are from X-industry, we know exactly the benefits of this, and it's just more kind of relaying it to the audience to make them aware of what it is. So I'm just kind of just going to share this just to kind of go through these areas. So like we have the what would you say? I don't know if people can see my screen here. Like the benefits we can see clearly are sorry, let's close these down. Is efficiency. It helps optimize workflows. With that, you're retaining staff. Your staff are not kind of expected to do overtime, and that with that you're reducing costs. Deb showcased there the collaboration element of it with just the provision for voids, where you're easy to engage with other participants, which again is less modeling time. It also enforces company standards through that family browser, where you might have agreed families that need to be pushed out across all projects. They're localized in the family browser, and you're just utilizing and using what is available to the modeling crew and design department. It also increases productivity because it's having the automation tool available. Mundane tasks are reduced, so you have more time spent on other aspects of the business. So you like you go into more detailed design and the likes. That would be more for like the title block and the sheet creation. Its leading edge solution is adapted to, because with innovation, with Symmetry and its own tech, it's adapted to customers' pains and their feedback. We in Symmetry have a dedicated forum that take on all kind of queries or product enhancements, and the solution evolves to these requests, so it's updated constantly. And with support and training, because we have a dedicated team and it's invested by Symmetry itself, it's one solution. A lot of other people, from talking to other customers, they have other plugins that they use, but it's spread across their whole Revit or Civil 3D or Plan 3D interface. And what that means is that they're jumping between these plugins, and in some cases they're not being updated to trends, and some might present that it has completed a process, but when you investigate it, it hasn't completed the process. So it's something that just to be aware of with this plugin. This is a plugin that has been tested by X-industry experts. I'm just kind of going through the questions there. One of them was, do you know, when you were showcasing the exporting of PDFs and the likes, And if someone was to do exporting PDFs and NWCs, does it affect the time to print the PDFs?
So it's going to run them in sequence. So depending on the configuration you have set up, and the order that you've created them, it could do your PDFs first, it'll do your NWC first. So it's up to you which one you want to export first. You can order that list, and whichever is top of the list is going to run that one first, and then it will move to the next one and the next one.
Yeah, and like as you did, we have other solutions that can automate this as well. This is just the Naviate Accelerate. We're developing solutions, and we have developed one that automates exporting out NWCs and pushing them to other platforms. So that's something that, because we're invested in own tech and we're listening to the customer, these are all requests that have come in. Another question has come in is, do you know what I said when we went through the provision for OPEs? And let's say the M&E guys change an OPE location. What would be the process there again for it to be tracked, as in, has it been changed?
When you're synchronizing the provisions across, there's a color coding there, so it's telling you what's new, it's telling you what's the same in both models. As you synchronize and as you go through that process, it's going to flash up what has changed or if something has been deleted as well. So there was a color coding in that synchronized box, that when you're bringing stuff back and forth, you're able to see.
Yeah, it's more rerunning the sequence. Naviate Accelerate will pinpoint a different color that has changed. Yeah.
Each one of those provisions has its own unique ID number, so it's tracking it.
Yeah. And yeah, no, I can see it is an excellent product because of the whole aspect with regards. The naming convention is one massive thing. People need to adhere to these naming conventions, and some people are kind of finding it a mundane task to constantly update their sheets to the naming convention. And it doesn't have to be the ISO. It could be whatever one is dictated as part of a project. This can be incorporated into the workflows. And there's other aspects that I thought was brilliant with the scope boxes, and even when you're modeling like that kind of family of a tree along the spline.
Yeah.
That's something, even if it's a straight line, people find that copying and trying to make sure that they're aligned is a massive task. Yeah. No, that's excellent. And if any of the attendees wants to kind of even investigate a free trial, we'll happily assist. We can jump on a call, guide you through different areas of it. So if anyone is interested in the free trial or needs to have any further discussions with us afterwards, just to click on the QR code there that's on the slide and download it, and we'll happily explain the process. And as Deborah showcased, we've only shown there maybe 30 features out of the 90 features that's available with Accelerate. It has a lot more features that people are unaware of. Thanks again, everyone, and hope you have a lovely afternoon.
Thank you.